What's going on, guys? It's Valorant here, and this time we're gonna be making a full VIPER guide on her abilities. Now, a lot of people have been making a VIPER guide, but this guide is actually showing you how you can use their abilities effectively. Anyway, be sure to drop a subscribe if you like more Valorant content, but I'm gonna go into detail. And I'm gonna start with VIPER's ability, that's E, and that's the toxic screen. So the toxic screen is actually a pretty great thing. I used it over there, but what it does, it's pretty good on defense, right? So VIPER works unlike any other characters because it all depends on her VIPER meter. So the VIPER meter is actually super important in its abilities. And the thing with the VIPER meter is you never want to drop it below 20. If you drop it below 20, that basically means you have to wait. And if they rush, and if it's below 20, you're pretty much screwed. You can't, like, VIPER, except her C ability, which is the snake bite, it all relies on her actual VIPER toxic meter. The thing about toxic screen is it can actually be reused, so that's better than any other ability, except maybe, you know, the Cypher's camera and Sage's healing orb. But this thing can really prevent pushes in that way. So for example, let's say the enemy team is actually pushing B. I'm just gonna, you know, put my toxic screen over there and they're basically gonna stop pushing. At least you hope so. Or on offense, it can actually make a wall as a distraction or buy it some time. Now, the toxic screen can actually be used to prevent pushes, or on aggressive, it can actually be used to actually fake something. So for example, if you want to go A with your team and the VIPER stays on B, this is gonna buy you a lot of time. Now the toxic screen will also buy you a lot of rotation, a lot of time rotation. So what I mean by that, if the team is on, your team is on B, for example, and you're a single VIPER on A, you can just let down a toxic screen, you know, wait, it doesn't go that fast. Look at this. It's going at a pretty stellar rate right after they rotate, right? Your team will already rotate about 10 or 15. And by the time you're there, there's where your snakebite ability comes in. So the snakebite ability is actually a great thing in the game. Now the snakebite is actually a great ability. So what you do is equip a chemical launcher, fire to launch a canister that shatters upon hitting the floor, creating a lethal chemical zone that damages and slow enemies. Now I'm gonna explain what it does in defense, so let me just try it out. You already probably know what it does, but let me just show you for an example. See how it created an area? So if someone was hiding here, for example on the map, he would take some damage. And that basically forces the enemies out. I don't think this is such a good alternative to actually buying you time, because it stays for very little time. A lot of people use it to actually buy you time, but I don't agree with that, to be honest. This thing is great for preventing some pushes. But if you don't, you already have the wall for that, right? You already have the toxic screen. So the snakebite is more of a, when, for example, defusing a spike, you can use it in any way to, let's say here, to force out an enemy, which is pretty awesome. From a corner, and even on attacker, you can force out someone. So this is actually great for forcing out people, and not that much for actually preventing pushes or preventing pushes to your spike planted. Now that I like this ability, sure, it's got some features, but the thing with this one is you're probably anyway gonna buy it, you know, anytime in the game. It really doesn't go, you'll probably always use it in every game, that's what I mean. And then the next thing we have is actually the poison cloud. So I love the poison cloud over there. I should have prepared more for this video. Let me just do a B hop over here. But fire to throw the emitter that purposely remains through the round. Reuse this ability to create a toxic gas at the cost of fuel. This ability can be reused more than once and can be picked up pretty redeployed. So you can actually pick this up. I left it over here. I picked this up right now. See my toxic cloud? It's filling up. I gotta wait the meter for actually to be filled out. But you can place it as a smoke in that example. It creates a small smoke that can be reused. Now, this is huge. Look, this smoke is bigger than jets or brimstones, right? It's a huge damn smoke, and I like this one. What I don't like about it is you need to use your toxic screen, so that's a huge issue. The toxic wall, I think, is a lot better, to be honest. But this one can also be good for some sort of pushes. Now, the thing is, the toxic wall can be picked up, right? And the toxic cloud can actually be picked up. So you can always pick it up later, you know, if you're rotating or something like that. The problem is both actually need toxins, so you need to save your toxins, right? If you use both at once, so let me try this. I'm gonna probably click both. Look at how fast it will drop down. Look at this. It's dropping at double rate, so I would definitely keep that in check, just so you won't have to wait later when attacking a spike or something like that. I definitely like the idea they made. However, I think the competitive play will see a lot of more toxic screen than the poison cloud. Although the poison cloud is really good for preventing some pushes, the toxic screen can buy you a lot of time, and also can be reused, just as the poison cloud. Now the snake bite, as I said, the snake bite can be also geared up with like the poison cloud. So for example, I spam my poison cloud here and use a toxin in there. So if somebody tries to push, bam, they get hit. See that? That's pretty cool. Now that's a small, you know, improvement to actually make, but it can improve you a lot of games. Now I want to talk about the ability, which I like a lot. Now that's the Viper Spit. Now the Viper Spit has been used a lot in bad ways. I'm gonna go here to actually use it, but the Viper Spit is only good in a few scenarios, and that's the spike plant. And on defense, it can buy you time. So buying you time is great, route, but you have like 3 other abilities that can buy you time. So the Viper on defense, Viper Spit isn't really that great on defense, but on attack it's really awesome because you can just plant a bomb and get a lot of benefit of that. So I can place it anywhere. I probably place it over the spike, and it creates this huge smoke that actually blocks enemies' visions. So reduces vision and maximum health of players inside it. So you get more health, and I think that's pretty awesome. I'd place it somewhere around in a corner of or against the wall, so you can actually cover something behind. And this is actually pretty good. It doesn't stay for that long, but it's pretty amazing. I definitely think out of best, there's I would say the toxic screen is first because it can be reused. Then the snake bite. The Viper Spit is okay, but it's very situational, and then the poison cloud. So I would put this at first, second, third, and fourth. Why do I think the poison cloud is not that good? It's actually great just for buying you time, but you also already have a toxic screen, so it's the second alternative to buying you time, right? Then the Viper Spit is like a free bomb plant. Usually the enemies won't kill you if you use a Viper Spit, and it can actually win you some games. And that's what I really like about Viper Spit. It's really situational, but in a good way, because the enemy Viper Pit will a lot of times not just use the... So this is what a lot of people aren't actually considering, is that Cypher is a really character that you can use in the late game. Now I'm not saying it's bad in the early game, but it's really not an opener. So usually you want to go for a spike openers on attack. I'm talking about attack, right? And you have Brimstone, for example, for attack. That's a great character to actually get some smokes down, plant the spike. Viper is really hard to be used offensively. Now don't get me wrong, it's great for attracting out opponents, but it's a lot better after you plant the spike. Or when you're defending the spike, it's great. But when you're like planting the spike, before you're planting the spike, her abilities aren't that useful. It's still a good character, all through you want to use your abilities and place them down as much as possible after the spike has been planted. That's my personal recommendation. If you have any other ideas in the comments, let me know. Because I personally think like Viper is a more defensive character. It's just how it is. And there are more offensive characters and more defensive characters. So for example, Raze is more offensive, Viper is more defensive. What was this? I'm not gonna play that right now. I have a video to make. This is really good. Now I want to show you in a scenario how this will work out. So let me say I'm gonna play on easy just to show you a simple scenario. Gonna buy this and this and this here. So see how I'm diffusing this spike plant? I'm probably gonna smoke over there, right? Activate this, pre-fire this guy, and I can plant. That was close. That would be at the end of the video. This is on easy, right? But see how I created like a vision here? See? Okay, so this was just a small tutorial of how to actually, you know, use your abilities successfully. But basically, if I want to kill that enemy, he wouldn't see me. And anyway, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe for more, and this Fatman signed out. Peace, guys.